Apple, based on Mr. Cook's arbitrary decision, has supposedly spent more than $10 billion thus far for the Apple Car project. And Apple is expected to spend more than half of its cash, which is $233 billion, for the iCar project or the Apple Car project. You want to make cars, distinctive cars, fueled by electricity. You're going to have to establish or construct charging stations throughout the country, or probably worldwide. I have spoken to Steve Jobs. He told me that in the past, he said Mr. Cook proposed several nonsensical ideas to him, including the dismal Apple Watch, including the Apple Car, but Steve Jobs turned them all down. Have you seen that movie? All things must pass. The rise and fall of Tower Records. Within the next 10 years or within a decade, you see another one. All Macs must pass. The rise and falls of Apple, or a so-called haunted empire. In the movie, you see a 65-year-old Tim Cook in the movie, and the guy would say sales were flattening. Before that, everything we have touched work. Then it stops. Have you read this book? all.Thomas. all.Thomas, the guy sees dead people. I met Steve Jobs through all.Thomas. I asked Steve, "How do you feel, my Lord? After you have seen Mr. Cook made all the nonsensical, arbitrary decisions, to see your hard-earned fortune being obliterated, to see your company ended up sharing the exact same fate as Nokia, BlackBerry, Dell, Microsoft. Did you know that Microsoft is spending even more money they have spent to acquire Nokia to compensate those who had been laid off? For all I know, they got 60 days to get their asses out of there. And according to this particular book, dead people won't speak. But the thing is, Odd told me that dead people could speak. They could, but they wouldn't. Steve Jobs didn't say anything to me. He burst into tears. Many people ask me, "Mark, is Apple being held back compared to Google or Amazon in terms of artificial intelligence technology?" I've done my research thoroughly. I have discovered two core fundamentals of so-called artificial intelligence. At the time I was trying to start my research, I started by reading a book. This particular book, Pray, expound about how artificial intelligence reproducing themselves. Now we are going to an era, well, many believe that we are going to, but I think, as I said earlier, I've discovered through principles. Number one, everyone is murmuring. Everyone is talking about one word. It's kind of like paradigm. This particular word is called algorithm. And this algorithm is predetermined or set by engineers. And they always like skew or inequality. And number two, underestimate the 25 million years of human evolution. You want to make things that can think for themselves? I'll give you two examples. Last year, tens of thousands, well, I'm not trying to antagonize African American people, but last year, enormous amount of African American people have been classified or perceived by Google's proprietary photo editing software as a bunch of gorillas. You are currently using the Nikon. Well, you buy a Nikon camera, it comes bundled with its proprietary photo, not solely editing but manipulating app. And this particular application, sometimes it like wrongfully classify me, my gesture, as blinking because of my eyes. As I said earlier, 25 million years of human evolution. And people are jumping around like, well, it can be done within the next 10 or probably 15 years. Driverless cars. For crying out loud. You give me a break in the not too distant future. By the way, I got two things to say. First, for those who mock about my English, I do have just one particular question to ask. Can you speak Thai? I have never been outside this country. I have never studied English at any language school. Can you speak Thai? And secondly, for those who complain about my location, my background, you know what? I was very depressed. And I started to watch others' videos. And I found that, well, they were just sitting right next to their working regular desk. So, but viewers always right. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get my ass out of here. I'm going to bring you out. Let's go. How do you like my new location? You know, I'm sick and tired of people like, that's it, no more! Keep complaining. Probably as soon as I finish my video, people say things like, Mark! You know what, I kind of like your idea, you know? Venerable buying coach, but your location sucks. I'll cut to the chase. Apple has inadvisedly invested in a company called Didi. Didi is China's largest ride-hailing service. Apple didn't acquire it but invested in the company. Apple spent $1 billion. I know. It doesn't take a genius to say Apple was trying to pave the way for the forthcoming iCar or Apple Car project. Apple is trying to transform itself into a car company. Well, I'll be super flawless. An automobile company. Automobile company. Apple is transforming itself into an automobile company. Secondly, the iOS 9.3.2 break significant amount of the so-called 9.7-inch iPad Pro. Albeit I said millions of times that it's merely the third generation iPad Air. So 9.3.2. I'll get back to this. You know what? Thirdly, significant amounts of MacBook Pro with Retina display 2015 are reporting widespread freezes, crashes. Their Macs become unresponsive at seemingly random times. They have never been so inferior, substandard. They were sloppy. They started to be sloppy in 2015. And Apple might have to pay as hefty as $2.8 billion to a company called VoIP Poll because Apple purportedly infringed their intellectual property, their patent, wrongfully acquires or infringed. $2.8 billion. Apple wrongfully used their technology in iMessage. Lastly and most importantly, did you know that in the second fiscal quarters of 2016, Apple sold 16% fewer iPhones compared to equivalent quarter last year. Therefore, its revenue declined 13% to $50 billion. So the thing is, before I go, the company that you already knew is no longer with us, is no longer exist. Apple is gone. It's trying to be an automobile company. I'm hoping that Apple won't install a delusive software to lure or trick the carbon emission detector. So you might say, Mark, what's the point? What's the core fundamental of this particular video? The core fundamental of this video is Apple is sloppy about iOS 9.3.2, about the integrated graphic chip installed inside the MacBook Pro with Retina display 2015. They were sloppy. The root cause of this chaos, this predicament, was the incongruence between hardware and software. They were sloppy. They haven't done extensive tests. Like for instance, I have changed, first you want me to change to increase the RAMs, probably in your iMacs, I have to test the RAMs at least a day. Go to YouTube, fire up like 1080p video and stuff like that. I'm gonna have to test it. They were sloppy. So inferior because they were not focusing on what they were doing. Now they are focusing on becoming a new player on the market in the world as an automobile company. And this time we don't have to worry about a defective graphic card. We might have to worry about a defective ignition switch that might end up killing you. Killing you! Ignition bloody switch. Defective bloody airbags that might flammable or combustible, and it combust, explodes, and you got tons of shrapnels and kill you, cut your throat. It's great. Apple Care protection plan, including your fucking life. So, energy flows where the bloody attention goes. Thanks for watching.